Hi everyone, and welcome to Paper Pumpkin Week here on Creative Chelsey. Today I'm sharing with you my fourth set of alternative card ideas using the May 2025 Paper Pumpkin kit called Mountain Majesties, which creates a total of 9 cards, 3 in these 3 different designs, and it includes 3 coordinating envelopes, or I guess 9, but 3 in these 3 fun colors. If you'd like to watch me unbox the kit and create these cards or see any of my other alternatives, click on the playlist in the top right corner. Today I'm sharing some fun card ideas that you can make using some of the envelopes from the kit. I'm also creating my own shadowy tree image as a focal point on this card. Come watch me and then give it a try on your next alternative card. If you are new to Paper Pumpkin and are interested in getting your own monthly crafting kit, you can subscribe using the link in the description below. I love my subscribers and send them an exclusive card kit each month. This kit includes the cardstock and embellishments they need to make 2 of my exclusive card design with the stamp set and ink from that month's kit. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and help you with any questions you may have about Paper Pumpkin or Stampin' Up! Products. You can contact me through my email address listed at the bottom of the description in every video. All right, so we're going to go ahead and begin by cutting our envelopes. In the past alternatives, we have just trimmed off the flap from the tops of each of our envelopes, and we are now going to cut them apart and use them for today's cards. So what I like to do is just trim a little bit off of all of those folded edges so that I get 2 separate pieces. I'm starting here with the blue envelope. And we're going to be using the large piece for the blue. And then I also have my green envelope. This is the Lost Lagoon envelope color. And for this one, we're going to be using the back of the envelope. So put the other 2 pieces off to the side, and we'll use the front of the blue and the back of the Lost Lagoon, or kind of that blue-green color. Let's begin with this one. This is the blue-green Lost Lagoon. We're going to be cutting just enough that we need to cover the top. The bottom piece is going to get covered by one of the die cuts. Now you can choose to either have it be 4 inches across, which will give you a little larger border. That's what this one is a 4 inches across. Or you can do the 4 1/8, which is what I've chosen to do. So I'm going to start that by just trimming off the edge. I don't want this double layered piece. And then I'm going to just measure down to 4 1/4 inches. Or I'm sorry, 4 1/8 inches. Or you could do 4 inches. So choose either 4 1/8 or 4 inches across. And that piece is what we'll be using for our card. And then for this one, again, you can choose to either have a large border, which is what I've chosen. If you want that, it's 4 inches by 5 1/4, or you can make it a little smaller of a border by adding 1/8 of an inch, making it 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches. So I'm going to go with 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, let's go ahead and start with our Lost Lagoon background piece. For this, we are going to add some stamped images. I think that it's easier to do it for this card after we've already added this die cut piece so that we know where to stamp our birds. So in the kit, there's this nice large die cut piece, and that's going to go out in front. And we need to grab our card base, which I'm using a card base of thick basic white cardstock. Let's begin by adding adhesive to the back of our envelope piece. This is the straight edge is going to go at the top. The rounded edge is just going to get hidden underneath our die cut, so we don't really need to worry about removing that rounded edge. So it doesn't really matter which side you choose to cut. Whatever's easiest. I'm going to line that bottom edge at the top and trim it to 4 1/8. And let's just double check that that now is the right size all the way across. Yep. And add our liquid glue again at the bottom. Let's go ahead and line that up again with that right edge and pull it across to the left side, making sure it matches and that we have a nice similar size border here at the bottom. So now we're going to stamp our birds in the sky. I've got my Misty Moonlight ink spot and my larger grouping of birds. And just have that kind of come right up and over the mountain range there. And then a small grouping up near the top right corner, just like that. So once that's in place, you can take some of the dimensionals that came in the kit, pop off that paper backing, and then just tuck them under the mountain range at the top. And that's going to give you a three-dimensional look without having to have that dimension all the way around, giving us a little more freedom to add more dimensions down here at the bottom without making our card too thick. So you can see how that is a nice little addition right there. Okay, so for our next step, we're going to create our own little tree to be on the top or as a focal point for our card. So I'm going to take my die cut tree. This one is we're going to use this for our second card here. You can see it there, but we're going to use it as kind of a guide. And I'm going to start by marking the top and then making some marks along the edges about how wide I want it to go. Okay, just so that it doesn't get too big too quick. So here at the top, just go ahead and make a little mark and then kind of just wiggle it down. Maybe make one side a little bit bigger and then come to the other side. Here's kind of the widest point I want right here. So come back in, come back out. The edges, make sure they stay organic, and then you can kind of fill it in slowly. Okay, so let's look a little bit like that at the top. It's a little wider than my original one, that's okay. Come back in, keep it kind of skinny, don't go too wide too quick. You don't want too many of these like flat edges, so if you see some, move your marker so it's a little bit more like angled. Come to that wide spot, bring it down to that wide spot. Make sure they're connected in the middle, but they can have gaps along the sides. Here's another spot that it can kind of get wide again. Okay, and then let's just see how long we want it to go. So every time you do this, it's going to look a little different. So mine here is a little smoother. This one's a little more jaggedy. I could kind of smooth it out a little bit if I want to. Maybe make this bottom one a little bigger. Something like that. Doesn't need to be perfect. You're just giving that little hint of a tree. And I do think everything looks better when we fussy cut it out. I'm going to smooth out this bottom though, so that I can just have it meet up right with the base of my card. Okay, so go ahead and fussy cut that out. All right, just here at the bottom, I think I'm just going to go ahead and trim it off. So I'm going to take my paper trimmer and line it up like that. And just trim off that bottom edge so it's nice and flat, which will be a good, so I can just put it right over that stuff there. There, I like that. Put a little adhesive at the bottom. Leave the top without any so that you can tuck under the greeting, and just add that right to your card. Okay, so that's looking fun. We've got a white label. This label does come from the Hugs a Bloom dies. So I went ahead and cut that out. Let's put that on our card with just some adhesive. And I'm just going to tuck that underneath my tree. I do want it in the center of my card, so I might not see a lot of it coming out on the right side. Nice and straight. And then we'll pop our, once that's there, we can add the rest, some more adhesive to the rest of that card. And then we can pop our greeting on. I decided to stamp my greeting on some smoky slate cardstock just to kind of coordinate with that gray color in the background. And I'm going to do Best Dad Ever. And I'm stamping it in Memento black ink just to coordinate with that black ink from the tree. Put it right in the center. You're going to pop that on with dimensionals. I'm just going to cut some in half, making it easier to fit behind that little strip. So this strip is probably 3/8 of an inch by, let's see, 2 inches. And stick that right in the middle. Just like that. So let's go ahead and add some rhinestones just to add a little sparkle. I'm going to place this one right there. Maybe a small one near the top, and then a medium size over here on that side. Maybe tuck that underneath a little bit more so it's not at the same level as that first one. There we go. And that card is all done. Really fun to try your hand at creating your own shadowy tree for the focal point on that card. Let's go ahead and move to card number 2. We're going to start with this card. We're going to start this card with some splattering in the background. I have my Misty Moonlight Stampin' Write marker. I like to splatter with these markers. You can also do blends. There we go. Going to give you something like this. Just adds a little bit more to that texture from the envelope. And then I'm going to place this on a Misty Moonlight card base. You could do thick basic white as well. That's kind of what I've done for all of my cards. And for this one I just thought, oh, let's try something a little different. But if you've got that thick, go ahead and just put it on the thick white too. This one has a little larger border because I did cut it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. This card comes together really quickly. So there's this little blue black hill die cut. So trim it down to 4 inches. I'm just going to use that marking there to help me out. Okay. So first trim, then let's add our adhesive. And again, that's just going to go right along that bottom edge with adhesive only at the bottom so that we can tuck in our die cut piece. We were using that as kind of a guide. So next we're going to tuck in our die cut piece. Let's add some dimensionals to the back. Just go down just a little bit and then a little liquid adhesive near the bottom. We're tucking this in on the left side, just far enough that we can hide the straight edge that's at the bottom. So we do want to see the beautiful trees popping out there. Just like that. This one comes together really quick. I've got a piece of basic white cardstock that is 1 inch by 2 inches. So nice and easy size there. And then you can stamp whatever greeting you want on this. I'm going to use the happy birthday and just stamp it right in the center. And then if you'd like to distress this, you can by grabbing your bone folder or using your fingernail or even paper snips and rubbing along the edge of that paper just to distress it a little bit. Then we're going to take some white baker's twine, wrap that around your hand maybe twice. You could do 3 times if you want. But we are going to unravel it. So you're going to get a little more than just the length that you originally cut. I like to unravel it into 2, maybe 3 strands. So go ahead and find the middle and start pulling it apart. So it looks like I've got 3 strands in one, 2 strands in another. That works for me. What I love about it is you get this really fun texture to the baker's twine. From here, go ahead and just create some loops, lay them down on your work surface, do it again with your other one, overlap them just a little bit. Oh, let's try again. And then we're going to add adhesive to the back. And we can lay it on. So the adhesive I like to use for this is tear and tape because I can get a little larger area so that that holds onto some of the baker's twine. You're not going to hold on to all of it. It's still very loose. But once you have kind of the look you like, you can place it on top, flip it over, make sure it still looks good, and then you can add some dimensionals over some of it. You just want enough that it holds it in place and it doesn't fall off your card. And then that's going to go right on your card. Put it a little bit behind one of those trees. And you get this really fun look. And you can manipulate your baker's twine a little bit if it doesn't turn out to be the way you want. You can kind of pull it and loop it a little bit more. You know, tuck your ends underneath trees or keep them on top. But it's just fun to have that texture. And then if you'd like, you can also add some rhinestones. We could do a large one, small one, and then a medium one. Let's see, maybe up in the sky over there. Of course, you can add as many as you want. And your card is all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me create some fun cards using more of the die cuts and envelopes from the kit. If you're interested in seeing written instructions or close-up images on how I created this card, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.